So today's video is about playing victim or staying the victim to a situation that happened maybe recently or a long time ago. Whenever we experience trauma, there's nothing wrong to say that, there's nothing wrong with saying that something bad happened, okay? But the whole point of acknowledging a traumatic situation is to heal from it. So if you are staying stuck and you're staying in victimhood, what does that mean? It means that you're looking for someone to blame, okay? The issue with staying a victim is that it keeps you stuck. It keeps you stuck in that vicious cycle of this person did this to me and I want to get revenge, and you will feel bitter, you'll feel angry, you'll feel toxic, and you will take that toxic energy with you either into your next relationship, into your into your next friendship, into your next job, okay? You will take that baggage with you, and you will bleed onto people who didn't even cut you, okay? Hurt people. When you haven't healed those wounds within, and you refuse to take responsibility for your life, you stay stuck. Now, what does responsibility mean? A lot of people think that when you are taking responsibility for your life, you're blaming yourself. No, you're not. Blame is to say, this person did this to me, so I want to get my own back. That's blaming. Responsibility is the ability to respond, okay? Not react. So when you blame someone, you're reacting to the situation, okay? When you take responsibility for what happened, whatever the traumatic experience was. For example, I want to give an example of if you were in a toxic relationship, whether it was a marriage, okay? Now, when you want to blame that person, you want to say, he did this to me, even though I was nice. He did this to me, and I want someone to recognize my pain. No one's going to recognize your pain. No matter how much you scream, no matter how much you bleed, no matter how much you say the same story over and over again, no one's going to care, okay? But when you take responsibility, you say to yourself, okay, what did I learn from that situation? What did I learn about myself? Number one, you probably realize that you learned that you taught that person how to treat you. You saw the red flags in the beginning, you ignored them. And don't tell me you didn't, because everyone has that gut feeling that this is not right. And you saw those red flags. There was red flags in the beginning of the relationship, but you chose to ignore it, or you chose to brush it under the carpet and just think, you know what, it doesn't matter. Okay? When you take responsibility for that situation, you say to yourself, you know what, no one has the permission to hurt me unless I give them that permission. No one has the permission to violate my boundaries unless I give them that permission. No one has the right to do me over or do bad to me unless I give them that permission, because you teach people how to treat you. Usually when you go into a toxic relationship, it's because you're looking for someone to fix, right? You're looking for someone to love you, to validate you. And toxic people know that. So let's say you had a toxic partner. In this case, let's talk about toxic husbands, right? You had a toxic ex-husband. He saw you coming a mile away, okay? Because toxic people recognize that you're bleeding, okay? They recognize that you're hurting, and they recognize that you're looking for validation. It's your energy. It's the energy that you put off out there, that I'm looking for someone to love me, okay? And this is why I always talk about self-love, in the sense that you have to be very firm with yourself and understand who you are and what you bring to the table before you ever go into a relationship. You need to understand who you are. A lot of us women don't know who we are. We've been indoctrinated and conditioned to believe that we're only good when we're a wife or when we're a mother. That's become our label. We're not whole before we have those things. We are told that once we get married, that's when we're considered a woman. That's when we're considered a good Muslim. Marriage is the epitome. And mashallah, it is. Marriage is a beautiful thing. I'm not against marriage. But it's become our part of our identity, when really you are whole without being married. You are whole without being a wife, and you are whole without having children. But we haven't been taught that. We've been taught that we serve the community, we serve people. It's a woman's job to serve. It's not. The only job that you have is to serve Allah and give Allah His rights. You are the servant of Allah. You are not the servant to anyone around you, because you have rights too. And when people come along and violate your boundaries, you are teaching them that. You are allowing them that. I know for a fact I was in toxic relationships, right? I have been in toxic relationships, whether it's a marriage, whether it's a friendship, whether it's at work, okay? I've been in those situations where I've just stayed quiet, not said anything, and allowed the person to do what they want to me, okay? That's on me. It's my responsibility to tell someone what I expect from them. It's my responsibility to tell someone this is where we draw the line. If you cross this boundary, khalas, masalama. You go your way, I go my way. Not from a place of disrespect, but because I love myself so much and I know that this is going to affect my self-esteem, it's going to affect my confidence, it's going to affect who I am. I'd rather part ways and I'd rather leave this situation than pursue it when things aren't changing. And a lot of you women that I speak to in the DMs, you mentioned that I was so nice to him. How come he didn't recognize my niceness? Because you didn't recognize it yourself. You were being nice to him, but you weren't being nice to yourself. You were putting that man before your needs. You were putting that man before your love. You were putting that man before your happiness. That's not how it works. You need to understand that you have rights too. You have a right to be happy. You have a right to be loved. You have a right to many things, okay? The issue is that you expect this person to recognize your niceness so that you could validate yourself. And this is a toxic cycle that you're going into. It's called trauma bonding. We all have trauma. We all have we all had a traumatic experience in childhood, whether it was sexual abuse, which is a very extreme trauma, or whether it was a minor trauma such as, being weaned early, or maybe your mom forgot to pick you up from school, maybe your mom didn't come to your parents' evening. Those are minor traumas, okay? What happened when you felt that trauma as a child? Because right now as an adult, you probably think it's not such a big deal. But as a child, it's a big deal to you. And what happens is you create a survival pattern. So when you're not recognized, when you're not seen or heard as a child, you create a survival pattern. Okay, sometimes it's depression, sometimes it's anxiety, sometimes it's suicidal thoughts, sometimes it's the need to fix other people. It's the need to get validation from people. It's the need to people please. It's the worry that you have that people are going to say bad things about you. You worry more about people's opinions than yourselves. These are all survival patterns. Okay, it's a pattern that you created so that you could deal with the trauma that you went through as a child. Okay. And this is what happens when you go into a relationship. You start looking for validation. Okay, you start looking for ways that a person can validate you, and this is all subconscious. Like you don't realize you're doing this consciously, right? Subconsciously, you're either trying to fix that trauma or you're trying to get your parents to love you. That's usually what the case is. Either you're trying to fix the trauma in your mind by doing these things because you created a survival pattern, or you are trying to subconsciously get your parents to love you. Maybe your father didn't give you attention, so you're trying to subconsciously fix your father and get him to love you. That's what I did. So when I was in these toxic situations, subconsciously, obviously I didn't think of it consciously. I wasn't thinking, I'm thinking about my dad. Only when I went through therapy and I hired a mentor, did I realize that subconsciously I was trying to fix my father. I was trying to get him to love me in all these different people, whether it was friends, whether it was co-workers, whether it was a partner. I was trying to get them to recognize my value when only I could do that for myself. Only I can put a price tag or a value tag on me. No one else can do that for me, because people's perceptions of you will always change. One day they will like you, one day they won't. So if your value is based upon people's opinions, just know it's going to fluctuate all the time, and you're going to go up and down. You're going to go up and down with your self-esteem, because you are giving them power. It's time to take your power back. Okay, it is time to take your power back. I promise you, when you take your power back and you put yourself first, not in the sense that you become selfish, not in the sense that you say, I'm better than you. When you put yourself first and you realize that you're not the victim, okay, you are responsible, is the ability to respond. You are responsible for your own self-love, self-worth. You are responsible for your own happiness. No one can make you happy. People are not the source of your happiness, of your love, of your money. That's all up to God. That's up to Allah. Allah is the source of everything. Everything that you ever need is with God. He's the source of it. You should direct your neediness and your love towards Allah. You should direct that neediness towards Him, not to people, because people will always change. And that's why we say you're not a victim. Whatever's happened to you, it's not your fault, okay? You are not to blame, but you are responsible for how people come into your life. Look, when I did this work, I stopped attracting toxic people. I just stopped. I'm very firm within myself. I'm very firm with my boundaries. I'm very vocal about things. I no longer brush things under the carpet thinking, you know, it's cool. No. Because when someone disrespects me, I make it known. When someone hurts me, I don't try and hurt them back. I show them love, but I let them know that you've disrespected me and you've hurt me and it's not okay. And a lot of us don't do that. A lot of us brush it under the carpet because we've been doing this. Our parents have been doing this since we were kids. Let's say you told your parents that you were sexually abused. They talked about it once and they go, don't ever talk about it ever again. It was brushed under the carpet. Maybe you told your parents that someone's picking on you. They're like, okay, leave it, let it be. And they brush it under the carpet. It's been your pattern. So you don't call people out on what they do to you because, number one, you've been taught to ignore it and brush it under the carpet and act like it never happened and carry about your day. That's not right. When someone's violated your boundaries, when someone has crossed your boundaries, you need to let them know. Because they might not know that they've done that. They may not realize that, oh, they crossed the line. They may not know. So you need to let them know. You need to tell them, listen, you really crossed the line here. And I don't accept that. Number one, I don't accept it. And number two, I won't tolerate it. And that's when you have so much love for yourself and you're kind to yourself and you have self-esteem, self-worth, all that confidence. You are able to tell people that from a place of love, not from a place of arrogance, not from a place of attitude. But when someone has really hurt you and someone has brought you down, you are able to tell them in a loving way, listen, I don't know what you're going through, but just to let you know that I won't tolerate that behavior. And when you're ready to have a normal conversation with me, when you're ready to apologize, then I'm here. I'll be here to listen to it. I'm here waiting. And if that person never apologizes to you, move on. Because you are worth so much more. You are worth more than an apology. You forgive and let go. And that's it. That's the essence of not being a victim. That's the essence of taking responsibility for your life and realizing you have a part to play in everything. I promise you, when you realize that you have a part to play in everything that happens in your life, you will no longer look for people to blame. And you will no longer be in this toxic cycle of hurt, anger, bitterness, resentment, none of this. You'll be like, you know what? I was responsible for that. And people ask me, what if you're a child and you had toxic parents? Of course, you're not responsible for that, but you have the responsibility now to heal from that. That's your responsibility. You can't go around hurting people now because your parents hurt you. You can't go around hurting people, saying to other people, well, it's just the way I am because my parents didn't love me. No, you have the responsibility to heal. You validate your experiences. You say, you know what, my parents hurt me, but I'm not going to go around and hurt people. I'm going to heal those wounds and I'm going to be a better person. That's taking responsibility.